everybody. Welcome to the Dating is Hard podcast. I'm your host, Joe Welkie. For all information about this show, you can go to datingishardcomedy.com. You can follow the Instagram at datingishardcomedy, and you can follow me on Instagram at Joe Welkie. The Dating is Hard live shows every fourth Wednesday at Pack Theater, and that's a by donation theater. So that means if you got extra money, you can throw the theater's way. Please do. But if you don't, you can still come and enjoy all the awesome shows at Pack Theater. If you guys wouldn't mind subscribing, rate, review, give it 5 stars, tell all your friends. That'd be awesome. That helps make podcasts bigger and better and etc. And yeah, this is a podcast that's all about dating, relationships, etc. And I meet 90% of my guests via dating apps. That's what I do. I have profiles set up, say, hey, I want to have people come on and tell their stories. And that is how I met my guest today. So please enjoy my chat with Lyla. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Dating is Hard podcast. I'm Joe Welkie, and if you're not sure how this podcast works, how I meet all of my guests, or 90% of them, is through dating apps. I have profiles set up saying, hey, I'm looking for people to come on my podcast. I have like unique, weird, funny, interesting stories about dating, and that's how I met today's guest. Everyone, please welcome to the show, Lyla. Lyla,
Hi.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Love it.
I really appreciate it. So we got connected via Tinder.
The Tinder.
The classic.
Of course.
How's Tinder going for you?
Oh.
I should really stop asking that question. Like, that's always like the first question I ask.
Nobody's ever happy about it.
I mean, you're on a show called Dating is Hard.
Yeah, everybody's very begrudgingly on Tinder. It's kind of like, I guess. I think I've made my account probably like 6 or 7 different times.
Oh, yeah, dude. I mean, I feel like everybody goes through like spurts of it because I don't know about you, but I know me. If I'm on it to date, I'm only on it for like 2 weeks. And I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah, it's really bad. And I tried doing some of the other ones. Like I was on like Hinge for a little bit, and that one makes people sound kind of more interesting because you have all these cute little quirky questions to ask about yourself. Oh my gosh, I'm so cool. But it's kind of like, oh, when you meet them, it's like, oh wow, you're still kind of a douche.
You can only hide the douche for so long.
For so long.
I always think that Hinge is the best one because it gives you like an icebreaker with those like quirky questions or whatever. And it kind of shows off your personality a bit more because, I mean, I don't know if it's like this for women, but for guys, like on Tinder, a lot of times people don't even like fill out their bio.
No.
It's just, hey, here's my pictures. You think I'm hot or not?
Then the height.
Yeah, oh yeah, and then the height.
I feel so bad for that because I don't necessarily care. So when going through it, it's kind of like, oh, I guess bitches really like want to know height.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
It's crazy.
Because there were times where I wouldn't have it on, and then like 3 questions in, it'd be like, hey, I don't want to sound like a douche, but like, how tall are you?
Yeah,
It's
so
like, oh,
strange.
wow. So now you just gotta know. You gotta know to put it on there. But then people lie about that, apparently.
They do. Or they lie. I mean, I've never personally met anybody that's lied about their age, but I sometimes am on there just to laugh at the situations. And there was a guy on there claiming to be 36, and he was very clearly like 55. Very clearly 55. And still, he looked kind of like, what's the guy's name? Ron Jeremy?
Oh,
it was kind
the
of
hedgehog.
it was kind of a Ron Jeremy vibe. And I was like, you're not 36, but I mean.
Well, this is a thing that I've been seeing a lot recently where it'll be a person and it'll say their age and it'll be like 25, right?
Yeah.
And then you read their bio and then their bio will be like, I'm actually 19. I don't know why it says 25.
Yes, but for how?
Yeah.
You just change your birthday.
Exactly.
I don't know.
It's like the first thing Tinder asks you to do when you fill out the bio.
It's on the settings. People are strange.
Man.
It makes me, that more so scares me in the scammy type of way.
Yeah, the age thing.
Yeah, like if you're like not gonna be lazy enough to change it, smart enough to change it. It's just so weird to me.
You're out.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Or like one guy I between accounts, I messaged him on we matched on my past account, never met up, and then we matched again on my current one that I met you on. And then it turned out both times he was like, I'm only in LA for 4 weeks. And I was like, 6 months ago, you said you were only in LA for 4 weeks. Very interesting.
I wonder if that benefits the person at all.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I guess so. Maybe because it's like, get at me now while you can.
I can't imagine that that's, like, beneficial at all.
Yeah, I guess they just want they want people to be so eager to have to hang out with them.
Well, I feel like people on dating apps, they're there to date, and it's like, oh, you want to have a 4-week-long relationship with me? It's like, that can't be good.
No, it can't. And there's a lot of, now, like, what is it called? Polyamorous people on there now. And I've accidentally swiped right on a few of them. And I was like, oh, this could be fine. And then it was like, oh, keep it. It's always the last sentence. It's like, oh, but I have a wife. She's my everything. And I'm like, that should be sentence number 1.
That should be the thesis statement here.
Yes. And then, like, every once in a while, there'll be, like, a picture of the wife where I'm like, okay, fine. But, I don't know, just strange.
Do you have any, like, certain criteria when you're, like, going through? Are you just, like, are you super particular with who you're swiping right on or swiping left on or what?
Yes, I suppose so. Because my type is, I don't know, I kind of like just anybody that's moderately quirky and like I'm just kind of into like nerdy looking people. So I kind of like my nerd looking guys.
Are you like a nerdy person?
I'm a very strange person. I'll admit to that. I'm not like Tinder be afraid strange, but like I'm quirky, I guess. So I need somebody to match that.
There's one thing you gotta know about me. I'm weird. I'm a very strange person.
Yeah, and then it's really funny too. At least recently, I don't know. I didn't become. This is going to sound very conceited. I didn't become attractive until I was in my 20s.
Oh,
I was very awkward until at least 21. So nowadays when I've matched on, let's just get into one of the stories. There's one guy I matched with, this is a little while ago, and we were messaging. It was fine. He lived all the way out in Laguna Beach, so already very, very far. And then he asked for a picture to make sure that I'm a real person. Okay, fine, whatever. I'll send you a picture. And it was like me at Trader Joe's, not looking my best. It was like literally me in front of Trader Joe's at that moment. And so I was like, okay, you still want to like meet up tonight you want to meet halfway since we're both really far from each other. We can meet in Long Beach. And then he was like, no, not until you send me another picture. And I was like, I've sent you a picture. I've sent you my Instagram. You could actually, like, I have tagged pictures from like 2012. So like that's usually a good sign. You can
see the progression of hotness.
Yeah, you can. Like, I was kind of, like, dorky, and then it was like, oh, okay, she got kind of high. So then he just, like, was like, no, I refuse. And I was just kind of like, I don't know if you're real, because I guess, and I'm like, is it because I'm so attractive? And apparently that was the answer. And I was like, this is very flattering. But also, like, why are you crazy?
Dude, I had somebody that I matched with that did that same thing with me. A girl, she was like, well, send me a picture so I know that you're real. And I sent her a picture, and I was like, all right, you send me a picture so I know you're real. I thought it was like a, fun back and forth thing. And then she was like, no, I'm not sending you a picture. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. Like, why did I? And she was like, you have all these pictures from Tinder. Like, you should just be able to. And then I was like, I don't think I want to meet up with you anymore.
Yeah, it makes it so weird. It's like, we need to at least understand that we're all here on a basis of some form of trust. Like, you kind of have to just go in for the plunge and just, like, first dates are always going to be bad anyway.
Really? You think so?
I mean, not really, but I've been on more just like, oh God, I don't want to see you again. Compared to like, okay, we could maybe see each other one more
something.
time.
A little potential working out.
Very rarely does that happen.
Oh, Lyla, no.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one guy, he thought he was a stand-up comedian. So...
Wait, was this me?
No, it was some weirdo named Dan, so look out, ladies.
Look out for Dan.
Yeah, he was...
thinking he's a stand-up con. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and then his stand-up, I don't know what he was trying to do, because he told me a joke, or I thought it was a joke, because he was talking about date rape. not to be weird, you guys, but he was talking about date rape.
Already a risky subject on date number one.
Thank you. On date number one, and honestly, 10 minutes into the conversation, like, let's be honest. And we were over dinner, and nobody was at this restaurant.
yeah. Anyway, oh yeah, can we get some more breadsticks? Date rape.
It was so weird. And I don't remember what was before that, but he talked about how both of his parents were drugged with the roofie drugs, and then I started laughing because, first of all, that was just a very awkward thing to say. I don't know, and then I thought it was a joke because everything else he said before that was a joke.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Why are you laughing? This is a very serious conversation." And I'm like, "Bro, I don't know what you want from me. I don't understand."
There are appropriate topics on date number one. The first, I don't think that you should bring up date rape in any sense.
At any time.
Let alone be like, yeah, my parents were both roofied. It's like, dude.
Like, yeah, what? And then I was like, so were you too? Is this like a family tradition?
Is this
I
how
don't
you
know.
were conceived?
Yeah, because I'm into comedy too, but I'm into just like, I'm just down to ask the weird questions if we're both supposed to be comedy people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then he took it so weird. And then at the end of the night, he still felt like he could try to kiss me. And I was like, oh no, absolutely not. We were never meeting again.
That's a recurring thing that I have like talked with people on here before about, like, guys that just don't understand that it's not going well, but at the end they still, they're still swinging for the fences.
Trying to shoot their shot, and I can't. Pick up on a clue, please.
Well, how long have you been doing dating apps?
Oh, God, maybe since 2014.
Okay, that's a while.
It's a while.
It's a couple of years.
It is, and with nothing necessarily coming to fruition.
Nothing.
I got maybe one best friend out of it.
Oh, that's something.
Yeah, the one and only time I was on OkCupid.
Classic.
Yeah, that place is weird too.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as weird as Plenty of Fish. Have you ever been on that?
No, because I've only heard the weirdest of stories.
Yeah, I've met. This was like when I was still in college. Like, I met one cool person from there, and the rest of the people were just like, what dumpster did you crawl yourself out?
Thank you. That's exactly how I feel about it.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, the messages that would come in were just so strange, and I don't know if people are trying to sound cool maybe on the first message, and I get it. You kind of need to make a type of an impression. You don't just want to say hi.
Yeah, you have to stand out.
Yeah.
Especially as a guy.
Yeah, you do. So, I don't know. I can't think of any, like, first messages that were truly bad, because I usually just don't reply to them.
Well, that was always the disappointing part to me about Bumble, is before I got on Bumble, I was on Tinder for like a bunch of years, and all of the women, and like OkCupid, and all the women's profiles were like, send me something a bit more creative than just hi. And then when I was on Bumble, the only messages I would get from women were hi or hey what's up.
Oh, that's
it's like,
terrible.
get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, don't do that.
Do something. Ask a weird question.
I don't understand that about my female friends, because it's kind of like, listen, we have to equally be as interesting as fun. You can't just kind of like demand like the guy that you're meeting on Tinder of like all places to immediately be like this perfect person. You kind of have to, like, the person that ended up being my best friend, like, I actually normally would have said no. But we ended up having like really great chemistry, and while we didn't work as like any type of romantic thing, he's literally one of my greater friends.
What happened? What made you like switch up where you would normally have said no, but you said yes in this case?
I was right out of like a breakup where it was kind of like, well, that person is somebody that the person that I broke up with was somebody that like was kind of like a douchebag. So it's like, I'm going to try to go for somebody that doesn't match any of like my past experiences. So that's how I ended up there. And that's kind of how I've been doing it ever since I've been on dating apps, is trying to make sure that whoever I next meet isn't similar to the negative parts of a person that was previous.
But then there's those other negative aspects.
Yeah, but then brand new ones come about, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of things to run from.
I didn't realize that I had so many deal breakers.
Yeah, you don't realize, because then you don't realize people are so weird. This is your best foot forward, and you're trying to date somebody?
Yeah, it's interesting what people think is their best foot forward. Like, I've heard a bunch of stories about, and I see it on women's profiles where it's like, I don't care about your fishing photos.
Yeah.
Apparently there's like loads of guys out there with like hunting and fishing photos, and they're like, this is what's gonna get the ladies.
But
Dead animals.
Also out there, right? Dead animals. Or there's a lot of guys out there that have the pictures of them with the little children in like Africa.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of that.
There's
with
a
women
lot
too.
of that, and I'm
Yeah.
like, listen, I can understand what you think this is gonna do, but I'd rather just see a picture of your dog. That's honestly what's gonna do it more for me.
My roommate, and this pissed me off because this was during a time where I was on dating apps and I was getting no matches. And I don't know what was going on with me. I don't know what was going on with my profile, but I was just not hitting anything. And he had just his first picture on Bumble, and I think maybe all of them, was a picture of a lasagna that he made. And he wasn't in the picture. He wasn't holding the lasagna. It was just the picture of lasagna. And he was getting so many matches. And I was like, this is bullshit. How do you fucking...
You want to know why that worked?
Because he knows how to cook.
Exactly. Or at least it gives the impression that you might make me a meal.
Yeah, that's true. His lasagna is pretty banging, though. I'm not going to lie. It's dope.
Oh, that's good.
If you're lucky enough to have a Tiff Myers' lasagna, you're a lucky, lucky person.
Oh, that sounds like a very lucky person.
It's great.
If only. I'll dream of it. I'll hope.
So you haven't had any, like, actual success on dating apps at all?
No, not to the point that I can feel like...
What would you say is, like, the longest quote-unquote relationship you got from a dating app?
And in a positive aspect, I would say... For one of the more positive ones, three months, and that was earlier in the year.
Okay.
And then there was a Tinder situation before that, but that ended up... That emotionally damaged me.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know, first date was like really, really nice. And then it was like the more he liked me, boys do not do this, I swear to God. The more he liked me, the more he wanted to like pull away. It was like one of those things. And then, I don't know. And then like one day I thought things were fine. Yeah. So like, and then I was getting all messed up, and it had already been like a year-long thing. And then like one day I was like, oh, can I come over? And then he's like, oh, I actually went to New York for 2 months, so that'll be the last time for a little while. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I was like kind of texting him a little bit while he was in New York. And then when he came back, he just started seeing this rich white girl. Sorry, guys, I'm black. He started dating this rich white girl. Nothing against white girls. That was just, my own, like, heartbreak putting that in.
And now I'm racist.
Yeah, let me clarify. These are sensitive times. So, like, so then I was kind of like, oh, and then I was like, so, like, what do you want from me? Because, mind you, even before he, like, up and went to New York, I did have the whole, like, what are we type of thing and whatever else.
But you were seeing this person for, like, a year?
Yeah.
And then
it's my own fault, because I was just, like, kind of really... hoping that our chemistry was going to manifest into a relationship, because it was there. It wasn't like it wasn't. But it just never did. But he acted like he was gonna, like when I had the first conversation with him, like, oh, no, yeah, like, no, yeah, we should totally, like, do the thing. And then he went to New York, and then he came back and was with the girl. But then he would message me when she was out of town. A couple months later during Thanksgiving. And then a couple months later, he tried to follow me again on Instagram, and I was like, what do you want? Had a whole argument there where I told him how I truly felt about him. And then he got married a month after that to her.
Wow.
Yeah, they got married.
Wow.
And it was like, you messaged me literally when you knew you were going to marry her. Like, you were engaged when you were trying to be like, oh, what are you up to? Like, what is your... Like, yeah. So, and he, even a couple months ago, I could tell that he had probably tried to go on my page, but we have each other blocked.
Was he like looking at your story or something?
No, it was kind of like, or was it the story? I believe so. I think that's what I saw. Or it was like I went on his page and it was like not blocked, and then it was like blocked again. Like I wasn't blocked and then I was. One of those types of things. So yeah, that one really messed me up, and I didn't go on any type of dating app for like a minute.
I mean, that guy sounds like... That sounds so crazy.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit. I fucking hate him. His name is Matt, and I fucking hate him. So if
okay,
any
naming names.
Yeah. His,
fuck you, Matt.
Yeah, fuck you a lot.
So wait, you were like together for a year, and then one day you're just like, hey, what's up? Can I come over? And he's like, I'm in New York. Goodbye for 2 months.
Yeah.
Just out of nowhere.
Yeah, basically. It not like we didn't even... He would always try to kind of like dodge me, but I'm the type of person where it's kind of like, if you say that you are busy working, then like you're busy working. I work in entertainment. He worked in entertainment, so it's like I know how the shit goes. It gets crazy.
Yeah.
So we would see each other when we did. I did like a video for him when he was making his own content, and then it was just kind of like, you just did me so wrong. You'd like fake communicated.
Yeah.
Like, don't fake if you don't want to be with somebody. And I literally told him, I was like, I told you how I felt, and you kind of reciprocated, and then you just kind of like left me in the dust. So like, if you didn't feel the same way back, you could have just said no, and it would have been fine, and I wouldn't hate you.
And we wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't have a knife to your throat.
But now I fucking hate you.
Well, guys, that's a lesson for us all.
Yeah, it's a lesson. If you don't feel the same way, just say no. It's fine.
Yeah, we were talking about that before, about like working with people, and especially in comedy and like in creative senses. It's like, it feels so good to just say no to people.
Just do it.
Yeah,
It's
say
great.
no.
It's so relieving.
Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes it's all right to like have that feeling of like, yeah, I guess this is like dickish, but you know, sometimes you gotta be a dick.
Sometimes you gotta be a dick. Sometimes you're gonna hurt people's feelings. It fucking sucks.
Yeah.
It does. But
It does.
You gotta do it.
Yeah. Hurting people's feelings.
Oh, I know tons about that.
Yeah?
Or not like me hurting other people's feelings, but you know,
yeah,
hurt
right.
feelings.
There's got to be have you ever been in the old heartbreaker?
Well, maybe. But it was a mutual heartbreak.
Uh-oh.
Because it was my one actual relationship as an adult, even though this was when I was also still like 21, where he was like my actual boyfriend, and not just like, oh, we talked for 6 months and then we fell apart.
And then I went to New York.
Yeah, and then he went to New York.
Apropos.
He just wanted the money. It's fine, whatever. But yeah, so we were like in an actual relationship, but he was very verbally abusive when I was there, but I was also pretty young, so I didn't... it was like I knew everything was wrong. I just was kind of like staying. But then like I woke up after like a year and a half. It was basically like, I don't need your abuse anymore. But it was weird because like he had the way we broke up was weird because he had this other girlfriend because we were in this open relationship. Mm-hmm. And she hacked into my email account.
What?
And found these emails that I had when because I had lost my phone, so I needed to get some phone numbers through my like service provider. But I was trying to get a number of somebody else because I was in an open relationship, so I'm allowed to talk to other people.
Yeah.
So I was trying to get somebody else's number, and she was like, "Ooh, Joe," his name is Joe, coincidentally. She was like, "Ooh, Joe, look at your girlfriend. She's doing these things." So he was like berating me because like you're talking to somebody else, and it's like, you have a whole other girlfriend.
Yeah, you have a complete other life.
Yes, that literally hacked into my email to give you these things. And honestly, I was working up the courage to try to break up with him, and she kind of did me a favor at the end of the day.
I guess that's true. Yeah, it worked out for you in the end.
Yeah, but like he just like hated me after the fact, and just was like I was the worst person, and you know, and because he was gonna do all these things. Apparently, he was gonna propose to me, and I'm like, I didn't know any of that, but like I turned into a type of like Satan. This year, we kind of had like this weird type of, not a reconciliation, but like some mail got delivered to his house of mine, so I had to go get it. So.
And then you had the like, I recognize you as a person
type
conversation.
Ish.
Yeah.
He was making it complicated. We never still had to see each other, so it was a lot of text, but basically, yeah.
That's so what are the dynamics of the open relationship? Because I've never been in one. I barely know anyone that's actually been in one, and it always seems to end in weirdness.
It does, and that's also kind of why I don't
Not
like
down.
it. Yeah. I was in a very unhealthy one where it was like he could do whatever he wanted, and while verbally I could do what I wanted. If it seemed like I did, it was like, I'm the terrible person, so that was the negative part about it. We did meet other couples that were their love relationship like that was very positive. Like we met this couple one time where they had their term, not mine, they had a slave. A lot of them have, that's what they call it for a lot of couples when they have a third and they bring the third into their relationship. So yeah, and
I've never heard that.
Yeah.
I thought they were the unicorn.
Well, yeah, unicorn but for them that was their thing. So they called her their slave because they had like this dungeon house in the back. Like it was
okay, never mind. Yeah, no, that makes a lot more sense now.
But mine was a little different. We did a lot of like play stuff, and it was like some of it is fun. Some things I took with me, but as far as the whole like, I would never share my significant other like. The way that that couple I talked about was like.
Well, did you ever do anything with any other people?
We were more swingers in a way, so it was kind of like we would find other couples to play with. I usually let him do it because he was the one that brought me into it. It was his thing, and then I just kind of fall into it. But I was also like super young, so it was like, why the fuck not?
Yeah.
But it was a very fun experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's just obviously a lot of it I wouldn't go back to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's like one of those experiences where you're like, all right, I did that.
Yeah, very much. It's like, I did that. I will, I'll take the whips and the floggers with me. I did like the fishnets. I'll keep that in my back pocket. But
for special occasions, once I know you better and now, but yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, there was like, we used to go to certain like clubs, like our first like bonding moment like that was on St. Patrick's Day. There was like this weird St. Patrick's Day club in downtown. A bunch of couples. We met this one couple where it was their first. They had already been married for I don't know how many years. They had 3 kids, and they had to go to church the next day. And this was their first time doing anything like that. And if they're not listening to this, I doubt it. But I hope you guys are still together, and I hope you guys are happy. They had a wonderful time that night. She was so nervous, and by the end of the night, she was the one that was like leading, while the husband was kind of like.
By the end of the night, bukkake.
Yeah, it's funny to see people, because there's a lot of people like that in it, where it's like, we've been married for a long time, and we're just bored, and we don't want to get a divorce. We just need to find something else to do.
I was in a relationship when we tried to like find something like that, like a swingers club or something, or like I don't know. My ex just kept calling it a sex club, which was,
same thing. Yeah,
it sounded like weird. It also sounded juvenile. It was just like, yeah, let's go to the sex club.
It does sound very like middle school.
Yeah, right? It's like, this is what it's going to be like when we're older. We're going to have a sex club.
Sounds super inexperienced.
But then we like looked at it and like, all the people were gross.
They're very, yes. And that's what was the weirdest part about it, because it's very hard to find other attractive people.
Right? And then you're just like, you want to go, but you don't want to seem like snobby when you go and be like, oh no. And then you just end up hooking up with the person that you're with.
Yeah, and just kind of making a show with each other for other people.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're going to a potluck and you only eat what you brought.
Yeah, because everything else looks very scary.
Yeah,
exactly.
Everything else might be poisonous.
Yeah, that's what happened to us. One time because it used to be back in the day, you used to be able to do it on Craigslist. But they don't have the personal section anymore, I don't think.
They don't?
No, because of, trafficking and whatever else.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we went to this one house. If anybody's listening and they still are around and you hear about the place with the blue light, they are an older couple. They are probably now at least 70. Yeah, didn't know that walking into it, but they were like, oh yeah, we do this all the time. We great, blah, 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 come through. And we only stayed because they had alcohol and cheese and crackers, and we were going to go to another party, so we wanted to pregame.
So you just ate their food and left.
Yeah, we were like, so we're not feeling it, but
Thanks
great.
for the crackers.
Yeah, great meeting you then. Some other sex place.
Have you seen that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode where they had like an orgy?
No, but that sounds wonderful.
Oh, it was so funny because Dennis was trying to have more anonymous sex. And so Frank knew of like an orgy kind of place, and everybody had to wear like a mask and stuff. And so Dennis was like, "Oh, this sounds awesome." Yeah. And then he went, it's all old people. And he's like, "This is awful. Everybody here is gross." And then everybody like took off their masks because they had like a buffet at the place too. And Dennis was like, "Don't take off your mask. It's supposed to be anonymous." And then he was like, "Everybody's gross here." And Frank just kept looking at him being like, "But it's a good spread. Like they got like mac and cheese and roast beef here." So they just got more into like the eating, and Dennis left. But I feel like that's what a lot of it is like that's like, I feel like the most, I guess, realistic depiction of that kind of.
It is, especially when, and then it's so strange because, you know, people our generation, like young people, were so like fake kinky. It's like 50 Shades came out, and then everybody was like, ooh, a flogger. And it's like, okay, bitch, I've been kinky since before this shit. So, like, so it's very, like, annoying because everybody kind of wants to pretend like they're this thing, but honestly, they're just so vanilla. And it's like, if you are, it's cool. You don't have to sound cool sexually. Like, if you aren't into stuff, you aren't into stuff. Like, get over it. It's fine. I'm going to find the person that is.
Plus, I also feel like I guess like at certain levels of fame or notoriety or richness, that's where like the really attractive orgies, like
I can only imagine the A-list orgies that really go down in Hollywood.
Like,
it must be amazing.
The Eyes Wide Shut shit going on. It's just like, oh, okay, everybody here is hot.
Yeah.
This is better.
Or like that weird Quincy Jones article from, was it this year or last year?
What happened?
Man, you gotta get on that. He was out there telling everybody's business, talking about Marlon Brando and Richard Pryor fucked because they both were like,
somebody was telling me about this. I didn't know that. Like somebody was like, yeah,
no
Richard
one
Pryor
knew.
was like bi or something, and I was like, what?
Yeah. So and Quincy out here just telling everybody shit. Like he's like, I'm old, I don't care no more.
You know, it's funny because like those guys aren't alive to like defend it either, so he could just make all that shit up and be like, yeah, Richard Pryor's sucking dick.
Yeah, and apparently so. And he was like, yeah, Marlon would have just fucked anybody. Those were his words, not mine. And I'm like, okay, that's crazy.
Oh, God.
So I can only imagine how much crazier it was before cell phone era and even just in the 70s, because the 70s seems like it was just a druggy, orgy, wild time regardless.
Yeah, and people knew how to keep their mouths shut.
That part. Oh, man. Or just didn't even if they had a little wind-up camera, they didn't feel the need to take it out and, like, expose anybody.
Exactly.
You know? It's ridiculous.
Guys, let's get back to that.
We do. We all claim we want the
privacy,
and then nobody wants to give anybody privacy.
Exactly. Everybody wants to do it for Insta. Do it for the gram.
The gram. My gram's on a little bit of a hiatus right now.
Really? Why?
Dating. Rightfully so. It was just kind of like, you know what? I'm so tired of people thinking I'm not real. So I'm just gonna not be real then. I'm just gonna I'm just not gonna do it.
Yeah, people are very confused by my Instagram right now because it's just headshot pictures of me, and then the captions are just quotes from my favorite anime. And people are like, what the fuck is going on with Joe? And little do they know, it's just like quoting an anime about time travel.
That's fair, because my default picture hasn't even been of myself for the last 4 years. It was Jackie Chan for 2 years. And
why would you do that?
Because it was those pictures of Jackie Chan when he's styling in all his outfits because he used to dress all fun.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was hilarious and wonderful because can't nobody beat his ass. You can dress however you want when can't nobody kick your ass. So
yeah, he was wearing blouses and
yeah,
stuff.
blouse is the one I had. He was wearing this white deep V-neck with like a bow tie and like some shorts.
Oh God.
So that was mine. And then currently I have it as Prince, and he's in like this red outfit with a lollipop. So that's my current default picture. And it's been that for the last like year or two. Because I just love me some Prince.
Who doesn't love Prince?
I know, I don't trust people that don't. So
if people don't like Prince and you're out there listening, go fuck yourselves.
Yes, please stay all the way away from me. I don't need you in my life.
So I don't know if I asked you this already, but do you have any deal breakers? Like you see something on a dating app or just like in life, you look at this person or their profile and you're like, no fucking way, get out of here.
I don't know if I have a true personal one, because it's like I'll know it when I see it, I guess, in a way. I guess if you aren't in any type of way intelligent, which sounds very rude, but it's kind of like I read the paper a lot and I read news a lot, so it's what I talk about a lot. So it's kind of like I need somebody that I can talk to about, I don't know, like the housing crisis or something boring like that. So yeah, because a lot of the time I'm actually pretty boring.
As weird as I claim to be, I care about the housing crisis.
Yeah, that's the part of the weirdness.
Yeah, well,
it's
more
like
power to you.
Yeah, it's like I like weird sex stuff and then housing crisis. Full circle.
Oh God. Do you definitively have like a worst first date that you've been on that you're just like, oh yeah, this one right away, you're like, this is the one?
Oh man, honestly, I think it's the rape guy, because I tend to forget about it and then I'll think about it again and I'm like, oh gosh, wow.
Oh, I did that. I went on that date.
Yeah. That one, and then or just another like weird quick story, because I don't have any. Like, my first dates are usually pretty boring. If it doesn't go well and go into a second date, it's kind of just like, eh.
Yeah.
But I dated this one guy for a little bit, and his collarbone was broken for the entire time we were together. It was only for 3 months. And we were in this, like, crazy argument in my car. Just yelling back and forth and calling each other names. And I was, like, literally driving, and he tuck and rolled out of my car.
What?
And...
With a broken collarbone?
With a broken collarbone.
Wow,
and
you must have been a real bitch.
at that time, and he was a terrible person, too. He was just an angry, angry person.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember what the fight was, and it had got to the point... Oh, and then before he tuck and rolled out the car, he called me a bitch, and then he tuck and rolled out the car. So then
Fuck
I was...
you, bitch!
Yeah, and so I was already mad, so I was like... about to run him over with my car. Luckily,
oh my God.
Friend... I mean, I was in the moment, and I was 19, so I was very immature.
What was this argument about?
I don't know. I don't know. We fought all the time. I don't know. And I think it just led to sex, so I think that was the only reason why we were arguing. So it was like, so the sex could be better later.
Yeah.
And then his friend was like, please, no, you will get arrested. You will die. You're black. Don't do this. And it's like, yeah.
You get shot.
Very good. Yeah, very good points.
Yeah.
Very good points. I do not stand a chance in a courtroom.
Well, I mean, you won't stand a chance in the courtroom because you did it.
Yeah, and then I did it. So, yeah, there would have been evidence. It was on Figueroa.
You probably would have been like, well, he called me a bitch.
Yeah. Well, that, and then that's another similar one was the one where I was a swinger with, where we were arguing in the car so bad that he was trying to push my buttons, though, and it was, in order for me to not punch him in the face while driving to bust a Chris Brown, I had to just stop my car, like, just at the light, and got out of my car to deep breathe.
Wow.
And like cars had to drive around me because it was that bad. I think they probably thought I was going to throw up, and it was like, no, I'm trying to like not hurt somebody right now physically.
It seems like you get into very like intense, passionate relationships.
I think that I'm the curse.
I see a common denominator here.
I know, and it's even me. Like I go to the therapies. I have a lot of bad luck, but this was all of my really crazy stories are me when I was like young, because it was like both of those stories are me when I was between like 19 and 21.
How many dates do you think you've been on? Like how many first dates do you think you've been on as a human being?
As a human being, maybe maybe at least 20. No, actually not even that many. Maybe like 10 or 15. Because a lot of people that I end up dating, it's because of I actually met them in person.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you like super picky, very selective about who you're going out with?
Yeah, but it's also because like I've always had a weird relationship with people. I've always had fun, like weird relationships with like friendships because they're just I don't know, hard to keep them intact, I guess. Is the best way to say it, or find something that's kind of, long term. So yeah, I think that's also kind of a natural thing where it's kind of like we just naturally don't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not so much kind of like, oh no, well, except for the rape joke guy.
How quickly do you think you can tell? Because they say that, people can tell within like the first 5 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, I could usually tell even on the app, but sometimes it's kind of like,
I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
yeah, like I don't want to be like, this extra judgmental person because we're all in this dating pool together. But then you meet somebody and you're like, oh god, yeah, my instincts were right. I should have just let it go.
Yeah. Plus, I don't know. I've been burned. I've been pleasantly surprised and then burned because it'll be like I'll be talking with somebody and we'll be texting. And it's like, oh, this is going great, and then you meet them and it's like,
oh, and then there's nothing in person.
Yeah, it's like,
that
you were so much more personable over text. Like, what happened? But then there's been times where like someone's just like very bad at staying in contact over the app, and then you meet them and you're like, oh my god, you're like a lovely person.
I'm more that person because I'm terrible at messaging back and texting back, even if like you're my family and I love you dearly, and you like if you're not actually in like a crisis emergency right now, like I'm most likely gonna forget to text you back.
See,
that's why I love
gonna admit I hate you because of that. I tweet this. I think I've tweeted this same tweet and just updated the year, like at least 4 times. But I say, you're not bad at texting. You're just an asshole. It's 2019. It's 2018. It's 2017.
Yeah, I'm just so... I mean, I understand it, because even when people don't reply back to me, of course, I'm just like, what the fuck? But it's like, oh god, come on, Lyla, like, you don't text back either.
That's like, I'm also so manic about my phone because I'm like that. Like that. I'm very weird about certain things. Like I'm always insanely early to places. Like today I was supposed to meet you at 12. I got there at 11:30 and I was just like walking around the block.
Oh, funny. I was actually there at 11.
There we go.
We could have met so much earlier.
Yeah, I was there and I was just like, I walked into Urban Outfitters. I was looking around and I just like walked into some like sneaker store and I was just like, all right. And then I was like, okay, 11:50. That's an appropriate time to be early.
You're very similar because I'm very much the same. I'm very afraid of being late. It's like, dude, I don't want to be late.
Well, that's a good thing. That's fantastic. That's everybody listening. Take points from Lyla. I can't name a time when someone has been early. It's always, hey, I'm 15 minutes late. And I'm already a half hour early. So then I'm just like there for 45 minutes, just
extra
like, fuck.
waiting.
So I find it, I take joys in walking around like really stupid. Like I'll walk around a CVS for a long time.
Oh yeah, to the point that they think I might be stealing.
Exactly. Exactly. Like I used to do that in New York. So I lived in New York for 5 years before I moved to LA. And so I do comedy and like I'd have to wait a long time between open mics because it'd be in like the same neighborhood or something and I wasn't going to go all the way back home and blah, blah, blah. So I'd have to like wait an hour. So I just got used to walking around Walgreens or some shit, smelling all the deodorants. That might be a little weird, but yeah, I just got used to wasting time, and now I'm like so good at wasting time.
Oh yeah, I'm fucking queen at wasting time, even if it's like my own time and I don't have to wait on anybody. It's like, oh man, my house is great. I love to never leave my home if I don't have to. Everything is there.
But yeah, I'm such a freak about like being on time, and then if I feel very terrible if I don't text someone back, and I just don't understand people that are just like, oh, whoops, saw your text, forgot to text you back. I'm like, how? I've done that maybe like 3 times in my entire life.
Well, I mean, everything's on the phone, and then sometimes it'll be an accident because my sister the other day, she had to, she was telling me she was gonna be late, and so, but I didn't see the second part of the message she sent me, like, oh, I'm gonna be late, and then like 5 seconds later she sent like a picture, but for some reason, like, the notification didn't come up because I guess the message app was already open, so it doesn't usually, make it. So, like, that'll happen. Or, like, I'm distracted. I do have ADHD. I was on fucking, like, Tinder, or I was on Twitter, or I was on Instagram looking at stuff, and then,
I was flogging something.
Yeah, I was flogging stuff, and then, 3 hours passes, and it was like, oh, crap, sorry. I wasn't doing anything important. Well, usually, I wasn't doing anything that important. Sorry.
Yeah, well.
It's a bittersweet thing. Oh, you know what? It wasn't that bad of a first date, but it was a couple months ago. And I think the messaging online was fine, like through the Tinder app. It was cool. And then when I met him in person, he was older than he looked in his picture, but luckily not bad. So it was like, oh, okay, that was a catfish that wasn't a bad catfish. So cool.
That's the first?
Yeah. And then he just, like, was really boring. And then I was, like, trying to just get anything out of him. It was, like, pulling teeth, man. I was just, like, so, like... And then it was like, well, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I build offices for a living. And it was like, oh, God, even what you do is boring. Like, Jesus. And I was like, are you, like, the architect? He was like, well, I just kind of... I'm the person that designs how the cubicles are going to go.
Oh, my God.
And it was like, oh, Jesus. And then... He was shared, what is it called? He was recently divorced, and he still babysat their dog. So he was, doing one of those custody things with the dog.
With a dog?
Yeah.
There was a custody battle over
with
the
the
dog?
dog, and he seems to still watch the dog when the ex-wife is out of town. And then I had got a text message, and I was like, oh, gosh, that's work. He was like, oh, you have to go to work right now? But I took his suggestion because I didn't have to go to work in that moment, but I didn't want to stay there anymore. And honestly, we had only been talking.
Just look up and you're like, yes.
Yes, I did. I was
do.
like, I do. I can't believe I forgot. It's an emergency. Got a blast. So, and then I just what is it called? Unmatched him. So, never know where he's gonna be.
Yeah, I've talked about this one before, but there was one where the text messaging was great, and I met up with the girl, and it was just nothing like that. And this was during the earthquakes over the summer, July 5th, because I remember it was distinctly the day after 4th of July. We were on the date. It's going horribly. It's giving me one-word answers, just having a job talking to this girl. And then the earthquake hit while we're on the date.
Oh, wow.
And then we still didn't have anything to talk about. It was like, this is bad, dude. Like, we can't even bond over an earthquake.
Wow. That was a sign for you. They were like, bro, let's leave.
It was rough.
Just get out of there.
Yeah. That was one of those ones where I don't ghost people. Like, I'm generally like, hey, I'm just not into it, or like, whatever. That was one of the ones where I was like, right after the date, I texted her. I was like, hey, I just don't feel like there was anything going on.
Like, no thanks.
Yeah. There's nothing against her. It's just like sometimes that's just a thing.
If people are boring and they can't talk, they can't talk.
Do you ever go on a date with somebody, and I have this very often with people that are like super boring like that, where I'm like, look, I know that I'm not right for you, but I want to meet the person who is. I want to see, like, who can tolerate this.
Yes.
Like, what do they do?
And are they going to be equally as boring as you? And is that going to be their bond?
Yeah.
Because...
Like, I want to see the person that can have a conversation with that person.
Yeah. Like, what would it take?
Yeah. Because, like, not to toot my own horn here, but like I feel like I can have a conversation with anybody.
You have a whole podcast.
I have a
about
fucking
conversations
where I'm talking to strangers that I know nothing about.
I only met you like 2 hours ago.
Exactly. Like we met for like a half hour, and then it's like, all right, let's do it. But like when I feel like I'm having a hard time talking with someone about anything, then it's like, who the fuck?
Who's gonna
be the person that does that?
For sure.
Like, what do you consider a good conversation?
Yeah, like, that person.
Yeah, that person.
Yeah, it's.
Well, I mean, you can throw it away. You answered it.
No, yeah, because I always find it strange too, because it's like if I definitely always try my hardest to not make a situation awkward, but I'm comfortable sitting in silence. Like, I would prefer to not talk to you some of the time, you know? But if we are in, like, this type of situation together and we kind of have to, like, let's go for it.
Yeah.
But like, you have to try too. Like, please.
Yeah.
I can't just carry this on myself for however long we need to.
Yes.
It's, oh gosh.
There's been so many times where, like, I have a like kind of a rule too when I'm on apps or like just texting someone, a person of interest, if you will, that if 5 messages of mine end in a question mark and 5 messages of yours don't, if all of yours end in like a period,
yeah,
then that's the limit. You know,
Fair.
5, because it's like if you're not going to ask any questions about me, then it's more like I'm just interviewing you
yeah,
about like all this shit, and you don't care about what I'm up to or what I'm doing or who I am. It's like you're really not that interested.
yeah.
You know?
You don't want to message me at all. I've been guilty of that in the past, but it was also not because I like. It was because I purposely probably swiped right on you because of, like, I just kind of wanted to message somebody. But weirdly enough, though, there was this one guy that I matched on, and he, for some reason, was in Paris, but he had his account set up like he was in LA, and I was like, oh, so, like, are you like a Zuckerberg type of person where you could just kind of, like, have it all over the world? And apparently, no, he wasn't. He just was, it seemed like he was trying to find somebody to fall in love with him so that way he could come back to LA, because he once lived here and now is back in like France or wherever the fuck in Europe.
Well, I know that if you pay for Tinder, you can set your location to anywhere.
Yeah.
But that's a very bizarre thing to do.
Yeah, and it was kind of like, well, why am I talking to you?
Yeah.
So then I kind of was like, I kind of just stopped asking him questions. And then he was like judging me on my Halloween decorations, how I was decorating too early. And I was like, fuck you, it's Harry Potter Day. I'm putting up my decorations whenever I want to. We can't be friends. Actually, that's the deal breaker. That's the deal breaker. You want to talk crap about my Halloween decorations? We cannot interact.
Do you go all out for Halloween?
Oh, very much.
Really?
Very much. I really do put up my decorations within at least the first week or 2 of September.
What about Christmas? Are you a Christmas decoration person?
I do, but I hold off on the Christmas because I definitely just do December 1st, and then I kind of do a Disneyland thing where I'll give people up till, personally, December 6th. Or January 6th.
January
and then
6th.
I'm like, okay, you're a terrible person. You
Dude,
still have your shit.
My family is like that. Only they all have a Christmas tree up until like Valentine's Day. And it'll be like, oh, this is now a Valentine's Day tree.
Yeah. I saw somebody, well, I guess now this year, back in March, and they still had their tree up, but like on display in the window, lights on.
Wow.
And it was like, no.
I had a tree. My parents got me a artificial tree with lights that were already in it. Mm-hmm. And when I was living in New York, and I mean, my apartment was so small, like I couldn't take it down and put it anywhere. So it was just up all year round.
Oh.
It was just the tree, and it was like our nightlight there.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
It was like fine, but it was just also like people would come over and be like, "Why do you have a Christmas tree up?"
Was it the kind that had also like snow on it, or like? Or
no,
was
it was just green. But the lights were white to make it kind of like snowy, mm-hmm. I guess. I don't know. And then my parents were like, well, why do you have the fucking tree up all year round? It's like, where am I going to put it?
I don't have storage
I don't have a house like you guys in like a garage. It's like, I don't know.
People do trees now for, seems like any season, because there's one of Hugh Hefner's ex-girlfriends that I absolutely adore, Bridget Marquardt. She does like Halloween tree every year, like a little, but hers is black, and then she decorates it with like a, what is it called? Candy corn, and it looks really cute.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Too?
Yeah, for that. And she does her stuff in like August. She's crazy.
I go September.
Yeah, she's like August 28th, and I'm like September 6th, so.
Do you like go all out for the costumes too?
I do. I honestly spend too much money in October. It's to the point that it's like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for my bills in November and December or January, honestly. I try not to, and then somehow I just...
Is Halloween your favorite holiday?
It is, because it's the one holiday that also really isn't about anybody else. Like, I don't have to give anybody a gift.
You gotta give kids candy.
Oh, well, they're fine. The youth. They're fine.
The youth fine.
Yeah, the children of America. That's what I call them. The little youth of America. But, like, yeah, like Christmas, you gotta give somebody. Thanksgiving is great because you really just get days off to eat. But that's still, like, I have to be around people. Halloween is just fun.
Yeah.
It's good fun.
All right. Well, what were you for Halloween this year?
This year I was Aaliyah because Well, I just love Aaliyah, but I was very specifically...
That doesn't seem like a very complicated costume.
No, it wasn't. And I was from her music video from If Your Girl Only Knew. And if you guys know the theme of that song, it's basically some guy that already has a girlfriend is trying to hit her up, and she's like, no. And I chose that because this year so many guys had girlfriends or wives.
Art imitating life?
Yes, and we're just like, oh, but what are you doing with your life? And I'm like, no. So that's why it was her in that specific video for Halloween this year. It happened multiple times.
God. So many people out here are polyamorous, and so...
or fake, because like there was this guy at work where it was like we were obviously very much flirting with each other. I was having cute little Instagram stories about it where everybody was like, "Oh, what's his name? Who is he? Like, I hope it works out."
Yeah, a lot of sticker taps.
Yeah, and then by the time I gave him my number, and I'm like, "Don't make it weird." He was like, he didn't tell me directly, but he had a conversation adjacent to me about his sudden girlfriend that he had. And it was like, wow, you can't even tell me to my face.
Wow.
Even though I'm like 20 feet away from you. If that. So yeah, that's
What's his name? You want me to fuck him up?
Oh yeah, his name's Michael.
I'll go fuck him up. You feel like...
Yeah, so fuck Michael too.
Fuck all these. Fuck you.
Yeah, I have like a name of just a list of people. We can go on and on.
Do you have someone that you feel like you consider the one that got away?
At one point, the one that had got married was technically the one that had got away, just because like there was just an actual thing. But like I fucking hate him, so.
But now I fucking hate him, so I guess not.
Yeah, basically. So that's kind of like it, because I don't count anybody from like grade school. You know, that's like weird. So
That would be weird. That's so long ago.
Exactly, and it's not like it's a person that I would even want to be with now.
Yeah.
So no.
Do you ever keep in touch with grade school people just to see how terrible their lives are?
I try to hide as much as I can from those people.
Oh, you try to hide? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get it, like, I wasn't like even almost popular in high school. I was a drama kid for sure. Little theater nerd, improv nerd. But it was always like a boys club, so, you know, I couldn't get in with the boys. And then... so like no, I didn't get along with any of those people. The only person I almost sometimes talk to is like my drama teacher. He's great. I love him. So that's about it.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you the last couple questions that I ask
let's do
everybody for the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for doing this and coming on. First question is, if you could change one thing about dating, what would you change? Magic wand, change one thing.
Oh, man. Oh, that's a hard one. I don't know. Maybe any type of, like, pretense. I kind of would really prefer people to... I obviously put your best foot forward when you're first meeting somebody, but please don't be somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to have to learn that you're a different person later. I just want to be able to adjust to your not perfections, if that makes sense. I don't want to, like, think that you're, you know, the perfect or semi-perfect guy or, like, a great person, and then later on it was like, oh, all of that was a lie, blatantly, and now I'm dealing with your true self, which is a monster.
I don't want to think that you're the perfect person, and then later on I'm getting out of my moving car, taking deep breaths.
Yes, taking deep breaths, and that's been a lot of my life, so it's like, please, let's just, like, get at it right off the bat. I would prefer that.
Do you feel like, not to sound weird here, but with, like, the intense sex stuff, that goes hand in hand with, like, crazy people?
Oh, gosh. Unfortunately, I mean, not, like, that everybody that's into, like, not vanilla sex is going to be, you know, a crazy person, but it can definitely seem to go hand in hand.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, the one that introduced me to it, he's a very peculiar... He's not, like, crazy, he's just kind of a douchebag. And just a very different person that always thinks that he's right and, like, that type of deal. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, last question before we wrap everything up. Do you have one piece of advice to everybody listening about dating?
I don't know. Just go in it with a basic understanding of trust. We're all in the same boat. Just be a little nicer to each other. That's all I can say. I don't know. That's for nice everything too.
Everybody, just be nice.
Just be a little nicer.
Well, all right, Lyla. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. It was fun.
There you have it, everybody. That was my chat with Lyla. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want some information about the show, you can go to datingishardcomedy.com. The Instagram is at datingishardcomedy. My Instagram is at Joe Welkie. The live shows every fourth Wednesday at Pack Theater. You know that whole spiel, by donation theater. If you got money, throw the theater's way. Please do. If you don't, you get to enjoy the show anyway. Yeah. If you guys wouldn't mind subscribing, rate, review, give it 5 stars, tell all your friends. And yeah, I really appreciate you stopping by and listening, and I hope you enjoy it. And until next time, I will talk to you guys and gals and everybody else later.